you. Hi guys. First of all, thanks for making it to this hall. I think everybody is in the main hall. I was not expecting even this much because everybody yesterday told, oh, it's far off, man. If we go there, if the rain comes, we have to take something to go back there. So we'll see. I did promote my session yesterday to whoever I can, and then said, come, please sit. But yeah, thanks for you all for making it this far and then coming to this talk. Quickly, just raise of hands. How many of you are .NET background? Rest of all, or PHP or anything like that? Or how many of you into web technologies or web development? So you all understand web server, all those stuff, right? Okay, fine. Just making sure because some of the stuff that I'll be doing will be in .NET technology, but it's very conceptually, you can just go back to whichever world you are from, either Java or PHP world, and then you can just do it. But I'm going to showcase some things making use of .NET technology, but your technologies do have their own libraries, all those stuff. So welcome again to my show. Please access any data anywhere. My name is Lohith, as it's been introduced. I'm an MVP at Elric Insider, and I'm also part of Bangalore .NET user group. I'm one of the co-members there, and we regularly run the user groups every 15 days once, like monthly once. So if you want to know more about me, here's a short URL, about.me/Kashyapa. So I tweet, I do all the stuff with this handle called Kashyapa. So if you go there, you will get pretty much everything about me. I don't want to spend too much time on myself because I have a very short of time. So I want to go in depth to whatever I'm supposed to present today. So this is about me. If anybody wants to know more about me, about.me/Kashyapa. So you'll get every coordinates there, my email, my Facebook, my Twitter, my blog, everything will be there. I can flash around again after this session. So here, this was the agenda I had in mind going forward. I will try to explain you how services are powering the experiences. It's no more a website or it's no more an application. It's basically services which are powering your experiences. So we're going to see how that shift happened, how it's been done. Also, I'll be talking about a new protocol. It's known as Open Data Protocol. We'll see what exactly is that and how do we work with that. And also, the third thing that we'll try to touch upon is producing an OData service. Fourth thing will be how do you consume an OData service if you produce that. And then we'll see how open data in the real world is being applied. Okay, so this is what I have as in mind for the agenda. So bear with me when I go back to some .NET code. I'll try to explain you what it's doing. And then you can map it to either PHP's web server technology or Java's web server technology. But I'll be consuming with .NET in mind. When I consume, I'll show you how you can do it with jQuery. Just a simple HTML, just a JavaScript, jQuery, and then how you can consume a OData service. So this is the agenda that I have in mind. And this we're going to go ahead and then try to learn about a new protocol. When you go back, the key takeaway from this session that I want you all to have is a new protocol which is emerging for data exchange. It's like normally, how many of you are aware of web services? Cool. So you understand what a web service is, why it was done. It was basically for the data exchange. I have a partner, I have another partner. We want to exchange data. Quickest way, go create a web service, SOAP protocol or whatever it is. Now it's REST. REST is becoming an architectural pattern pretty much because of, I'll show you why it was, why it came into being. So this is the agenda. So where are we now? We're going to be looking at services powering the experiences. Okay. Now look at this. I call it as a web API, right? How many of you are aware of Twitter? How many of you have smartphones? When I say smartphones, it's basically you can tweet or you can do Facebook on your mobiles. Okay. So how do you think a Facebook is working on your phone? Do you think the whole Facebook website is on the phone? No, right? It's a small application which is running on your phone, right? But how is it possible for a small application on your phone to get you the same data? That's what Facebook did, right? They exposed something known as web APIs, right? It's not the website now, it's the web API, right? For example, if you take Twitter, I can just go and then write my own Twitter client by just making use of their API. Their API is pretty simple. Twitter's /username/followers it gives me that user's followers. The data comes back as JSON maybe, the data comes back as XML maybe. They give you two formats. So that's all. Did you have to really go to twitter.com? No. You can. Open a browser, twitter.com, you can, but have a smartphone, have a tablet, have something else, you can write your own clients. How? The web APIs are powering that, right? Facebook, Twitter, they all have something known as web API. Traditionally, this is what it was. There was a web API, yes, you had some sort of amount of API-ness in your data, but you were always going to the website. How? You're going to the browser. Now look at the shift. You still have the web API, you still have the website, but how are you accessing that particular piece of data? You have Windows, meaning you have a browser. You have a Windows Windows application, meaning something is sitting on your desktop in your OS, and then that application is able to connect to the particular website and then get the data. Then you have Silverlight, right? It's a browser-based plugin from the Microsoft which can run on any browser. Plus you have Windows Phone, iPhone, WebOS, and I don't know what else, right? Now the shift moved from being a website-centric to all these devices, right? You no longer experience a particular website or particular piece of data just over the browser. Rather, you are experiencing it over all of those. We call it as a halo effect, right? That's why. What is it? Basically, it's the web API, the service, right? It's powering a lot of experiences, okay? So having put across this context, this is really required because whatever I'm going to talk about next makes a lot of sense if you understand this. Today, there is web API. The web API powers all the experiences based on those devices and how the data being exchanged. How is the data is exchanged? The data is exchanged through Atom, meaning XML, or a JSON. JSON is pretty much, kind of popular terminology. So every web API that you have now supports JSON. Why? It's a default. You've got to have it because on a smartphone, my bandwidth is very limited. I cannot, go ahead and say, hey, no, I don't have a JSON, you take my SOAP request or a SOAP response. It's a huge payload. SOAP contains a lot of envelope. Body, the header, the body, the whatever. So it's a big envelope that goes in. So imagine the bandwidth that you have in the phone and then you're downloading the whole stuff. You cannot. People are going to just, no, this app is bad. They're going to just, trash your app. So what do you need? You need a lightweight data exchange, that is JSON, right? But I'm going to show you how the new protocol from Microsoft is going to make it much more easier. So what did we learn? We learned what is service powering experience is all about. Now we're going to talk about a new protocol called as Open Data Protocol. What is the Open Data Protocol? As you know, protocol means some terminologies, handshakes, all those stuff. Meaning I understand you, you understand me. That's a protocol, right? A set of procedures or specifications. So OData protocol or Open Data Protocol is nothing but a web protocol for querying and updating the data. Simple. If you take any website, what is it that you're doing at the end of the day? You're putting in some data, you're reading in some data, right? So it's all about querying and updating data, okay? And then, is this something new out of the box, something Microsoft has given us? No. It's all based on the bare bone or the basics that you have on the internet, which is HTTP. HTTP itself is an API. It's a very big API. It has all the terminologies or everything that you need for API-ness. For example, get means get me a resource. Put means update a resource. Post means go create a resource. Delete means delete a resource. So HTTP already has defined certain terminologies for you to work with. Okay? So Microsoft just said, I don't want to reinvent any wheel. We're going to make use of whatever is already there, base it out of that, but add some extra pieces. So it uses HTTP and Atom. Atom today, how many of you write blogs or read blogs? Okay, forget writing, reading? Okay, so many of you read blogs. Have you heard of the terminology RSS? It's a really simple syndication, right? Meaning, every blog that you have in this earth exposes its data over a format known as RSS format. And RSS format is an industry governed format. It's clear-cut, defined as to, if you are saying your blog has an RSS, that RSS has a schema that has to be matched, right? Why is that necessary? Any damn client on this earth can read that RSS. You pick up Opera or browser, or you pick up IE browser, you pick up Firefox, you pick up Chrome. Everybody understands RSS. Plus, I can go write any other client based on that RSS. Why? Because RSS is well defined. So that is based on the Atom protocol. There is Atom and Atom Pub. Atom is for reading, Atom Pub is for publishing, meaning when you want to write. Reading is Atom. You know, it has a set of channels, feeds, entries, all this stuff. I'm going to show all this stuff just bear for a minute. Plus, then what is extra in this open data protocol? If I have Atom and an HTTP, then RSS also has it, right? Extra thing that we add as part of OData is querying. You cannot query over the wire a RSS feed. But if you have a OData service, you can query it pretty much on your URL. I can go and say, give me only this within the URL. So I'm going to show you that. So that's querying part of it. Plus JSON. You know, when this thing started, the JSON thing started, I don't know how many open source technologies people are here, that is maybe a PHP or anything, but it takes, it takes quite a bit of amount of work to actually produce a JSON output, right? My backend source is MySQL or OData, SQL Server or Oracle or whatever it is, but I want to push it back as a JSON. So what do? You go, connect, get the data, massages, convert it into JSON, push it out, right? So who's going to provide you this library to create JSON? Yes, you go and hunt for extra piece of libraries, right? It's a third-party library that you're going to go and then, or you will cook up your own, right? The specification of OData says if you are a OData producer or if you are a OData service, you have to natively support JSON. So if somebody goes and said, I'm a OData service or I'm a OData producer, rest assured he supports JSON through the natural or through your HTTP exchange mechanism. How? You just, as a client, you just go and say, hey, I accept only JSON. He looks at that header and then is going to post you back a JSON. Okay. So then metadata, we support metadata too. Without metadata, how will a client understand what does it contain, right? So we also support metadata. Also, this is very bare bone, one slide, thing about what is OData. So if you want to know more about the specifications, the protocol, everything more, there's odata.org. So in one slide, I'm going to sum up what exactly is OData. Let's assume you have some data and you want to kind of reach out to many devices or whatever it is. If you have a data and you put on top of that, go and expose OData service, it provides you an HTTP way of communicating with that service, right? First of all, you get a HTTP communication. That's bare bone. What else do I get? I get the reach, the devices, the platform. OData service can be consumed by anybody. If you see there, I have a desktop, I have a laptop, maybe running a Linux or whatever it is. And then I have an iPad maybe, I have a smartphone maybe, all those devices. So I can reach out to all of these guys because OData natively supports JSON. Okay. Not only that, yes, we do have the metadata. We provide the metadata for the OData, the service itself, so that you can sniff out what are the collections available, what are the type of the data that is available that is being exposed. Plus the formats, we support both. OData supports Atom and JSON. It's up to the client. If the client wants Atom, he just has to say, hey, accept header, I only accept Atom. Or if the client wants to say, hey, I want JSON, he has to say accept application/JSON. So he's going to get the JSON. So that is inbuilt with the OData. If you are a producer, you have it already. You don't have to do anything. Plus, there is a new semantic. It's not new, it's already there, the HTTP, the GET. If I say customer of 6 and then say give you a GET request, it's going to give me from my collection of customers a customer whose ID is 6. So no more get customer within brackets. The parameter that goes in is int customer ID. No. If you know the ID, customer is the collection, just come and say customer of 6. So you're going to get that. So let's assume I want to update to customer, a new customer, I want to add it to the customer's collection. Just do the post and then send the body. Can be a JSON or can be an Atom. Just give me that and then just say post. Okay, so it's going to go get created. And then delete. You know the ID, just say delete customers of 5. The 5 is the ID there. Then put, update. Okay, so a new semantics available as part of OData. Plus, there are certain URI conventions. For example, if you look at the example there, a customer may be having an order. I want to get all the orders for a particular customer. Think about if you had to do it in a web service. Get orders for customer and then you will have customer ID. What if tomorrow somebody comes and says, no, I don't want customer ID, I want to get it by something else, but orders. You will go on and create one more web service method, right? You don't have to anymore with OData. All you have to say is customer/orders plus, if you look at the filtering mechanism, the filtering is built in with that URI semantics. It's a kind of a REST-based semantics that we have. I want to get all the customers who live in a city called Atlanta. How do you do it in a web service world? You will create get customer by name, get customer by city, get customer by whatnot, right? You don't have to. In the filter method, all you have to say is filter. I know there is a column called city. EQ means equal to. Just give the data, the particular value that you want. Atlanta. It can be changed like anything. Where city is this and something. I can change it. So no more multiple methods to get a customer by name, by city, whatever. You can do everything there. If you know a name, you can say filter name equals something, or you can do where name contains something like this. So everything is available. It's a new URI conventions that we have. Plus, if you host the particular OData service onto the cloud, you get the scalability, you get the availability. 99% available, maybe 0.1% whatever downtime, plus highly scalable. Suddenly I have a peak or a spike, I can go and then bring up one more VM on the cloud, and then you have the scalability, right? So in one slide, because I usually do 1.5 hours of sessions on OData, but within 45 minutes I had to sum up within one slide. So this is what OData is all about, okay? So it is HTTP based, it allows you to get the reach, it provides you the metadata, plus it supports different formats, the semantics, the URI conventions, okay? So now I'm going to show a little the overview of the OData itself. So this is I just made a OData service for this demo. The setup is something like this. There is a fictitious company called Northwind. How many of you heard of a database called Northwind database in SQL Server? Okay, so somebody knows about Northwind. So it's a fictitious database wherein it supports online product catalog. It has a category, it has a product, it has customers, sales, orders, everything. But for the demo, what I have is, I have exposed my SQL Server 2008 database having something known as Northwind database. It has two tables. I have exposed that data as OData service now. Okay, we talked about certain semantics, so we're going to do that. See that now. So if you see, I have categories and products. Now I want to get a list of all the categories. All I have to do is, you saw that there is categories here. That's a collection, which means that data is available for consumption. So all I have to do is my service name, categories. So it's sending me all the 8 categories that I have. When I say 8 categories, it's something like this. You see this is one data, this second data, this third data, so forth. Okay? And look at this. This is not something new. It says feed. And look at the XML namespace at the starting. You see that XML namespace 2005/atom. I don't know how many of you can see this, but there is one namespace called as XML NS is equal to W3R 2005 and atom. So that means it's an atom-based protocol. I know we didn't do anything new. This whole feed, which we exposed, the data from a table is still an industry standard, atom-based standard. And also, if you see, it says entry. So that means this is how RSS feeds work. You have a feed, and one row of data is actually an entry here. So it's the same thing. Nothing changed. Now the thing is, let's say I want to get category whose ID is 1. I get that. Right? Now let's say I don't want the full category of 1. I just want the name of that category whose ID is 1. Simple. Just append. Do you see that? This is RESTfulness. REST says each and every piece of your data or your resource should be addressable. I am addressable. Categories of 1/category name. Now let's say somebody says, hey, you know what, I don't want this XML that is coming also, I just want that name. Fine, I'll get you the name. See that? Oh, you can see that? I'm sorry. Let me get the magnifier. Thanks for pointing it out. Is this visible? Okay, all I said was OData v2.svc is my service. I want categories of 1. Categories of 1 says give me a category whose ID is 1, and then I'm saying that has a property called as category name. Fine. With that, what happened was a little bit of XML came in. I don't want that payload coming out to me as an XML, but I want the actual value. So all I did was $value. So it gave me the text of that. You see this? Beverages is actually a text on the fly that's coming out. Okay. Now, having said that, what if you want to do a paging? So what we can do is we have something like top 2. Sorry, I hit the bad. We have semantics like $top is equal to 2. See this? I get back only 2. So I can do skip all the stuff. Okay. So I'm doing top 2. It gives me the top 1. So like this, it's a RESTful addressable mechanism of achieving a particular data. You can just keep on going, chaining whatever you want. There are a bunch of semantics available, but I'm running short of time, so I may not get into everything. So we have top. You saw as a select. We did a dollar filter. So I can say something like. So I can say dollar filter equals category name, or let's say category ID equal to. I messed up. I'll come back to that. So I think you got the point that OData, what it can do, it can give you the restfulness within, it's all inbuilt. So I'm going to show next how do you produce a OData with .NET. That's one disclaimer here. I'm going to be using .NET as a language to produce the OData. Okay, but I can tell you certainly, like, there are the libraries available on whatever technologies here. For example, now we have a OData producer library for PHP. I think there is one coming up for Java, I'm not sure, but there's a client for Java, for PHP, every technology that you can think of. So when you talk about OData producers, all of these guys today are OData producers. If anybody in your enterprise has SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2010 is already out of the box, supports OData. Any list that you have in SharePoint is OData aware. You just have to go and do whatever I did, you will be able to get that. So you just have to figure out what that URL is all about in your SharePoint. Okay, so, and this is a surprising part for Microsoft itself. IBM WebSphere went ahead and then took this OData specification or Open Data Protocol specification. They implemented that on their own in their IBM WebSphere, and then today IBM WebSphere is OData aware. It can allow you to consume data in IBM WebSphere as a OData. Okay. Similarly, SQL Azure. If anybody knows about SQL Azure, it's nothing but a cloud-based database. So by default, every table in SQL Azure is OData aware. It is by default, when you have a table, you can consume it over OData. Similarly, Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2011, SQL Server Reporting Services 2008 R2, it supports its data over as a OData. Then TFS, now we have a library coming up. Telerik Open Access has been a kind of a OData supporter from long time. Then Sitefinity CMS from Telerik is again a content management system which supports that. TeamPulse is another great agile project management tool, and they have embraced OData. You can just go and then consume data in TeamPulse as a OData, and you can build your own clients for different platforms if you want. Okay, these are some of the, and if you see, I have 3 dots because many more are coming. Many more are embracing this new protocol called as Open Data Protocol, and then many people are coming. I'll quickly show how to develop a OData service using WCF data services. So this is, as I said, a .NET particular technology, but if somebody is not a .NET here, just take the concept what we are trying to do. So how many folks here are .NET? Okay, pretty much. So others, just I'll try to explain in your terminologies. All I have is a empty web application here that you can see here. And then all I've done is I have a ORM mapped, object relational mapping, between my database and the C#. The language I'm using is C#. So you're going to see that this is the object relational mapping that I have done. I have a database, fine, but in my .NET project, I have mapped it as a C# object, and that is this. So Microsoft Stack has entity framework for ORM, so I'm using that one. So all I have done is I exposed two tables that I had. I've exposed them as two objects. So this is my entity framework data context. Now, with .NET, what you get is when you say add new item, is everybody able to see these first two things? Okay, so you get this, what is known as a WCF data service. This is the technology within .NET which allows you to be a OData producer. All you need is just have the latest version of Visual Studio 2010, or you need to have .NET 4.0. You will get this by default. So if you create any new item in your project, I'm using web application as my host. This is a service. Somebody needs to host this particular service. So I'm using a empty ASP.NET web application to create my service. All I did was created the project before coming here, and I've added this add new item WCF data service. When I add that, all you get is this file. Is the font visible? So all you get is this file. Okay? I'll show you in just 3 steps how you can become a OData producer. When you get this file, this will be a to-do. They will put a command saying like put your data context. Okay? So my data context is what I showed you, the entity framework data context. So I have just given that saying like, hey, data service, here is your context. Okay? So within .NET technology, the WCF data service as the OData producing mechanism works very well with entity framework. Okay? If you have an entity framework set up, all you need is that first line change. Then, if you see here, I kept it as is, right? To do, examples, and then there's a comment. So these 2 lines will be commented. So all I did was I uncommented this line, and I said for the star means whatever collection I am exposing as a OData, I'm setting a rights on that one. I'm saying as of now, anybody can read, nobody can write. That's all read. Okay. Now let's try to run this. So that's all it is needed to create a OData service in .NET. Okay. So if I go ahead and then say run this, okay. So those 2 data that I had got exposed as OData. 3 lines of changes, 1 file within .NET allows you to be a OData producer. Now, the same thing, I can go and say products. We didn't see the products, so let's quickly see the products. So it's going now, trying to get the products. Okay, I want to check how many products are there. 77 products. Just imagine if you had to do this in web service. You would need to create your own web method called getProductCount. It gives you this. Then once again go back and say, okay, get me the products now for only 10. Right? So same thing. So now I can say, there are 77 products I know, but I want you to return me only 10. So it gives me only 10. Okay? Similar, and then rest of the things are similar. Products of 1, they'll give me product 1. Then I want to quickly know the product name. It gives me the product name. I don't want the complete. So what I was trying to show was this gives you XML, complete XML when I say product name, but I don't want that. I just want the text. $value gives me that value. Okay, so that's OData. I'll take questions. I'll take questions maybe once because I'm running short of. There's 2 more cool demos that I want to show. So please hang on. I'll be here. Pagination, you got to handle it. Top is there, skip is there. So from the front end, you say take top 10, skip 10. So it takes 11 to 20. Skip 20, take top 10. So 21 to 30. So that's up to you. But think about the mechanism it's giving you, the advantages it's giving you. As a producer, you don't have to worry. I don't have to worry now. It's all the client, right? Okay, so that was a quick demo about how do you create using WCF data service. If anybody is in PHP here, you have OData for PHP. So there's a library available. Using that, you can expose this OData service from PHP world. This is .NET, mind you. So from PHP, you can do it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a couple of stuff about how do you consume. So we saw a producer, right? So here's the cool part now. I'm going to show you how to consume. At this moment, when I talk about OData, these many things are available for consumption. Again, I have 3 dots there, meaning there are many more. But I've just taken Excel plus Power Pivot. Power Pivot is a business intelligence component or an add-in for Excel. Using that, you can just go and then download any OData. Excel has that capability to now go and then recognize OData. Okay, so that's that thing. A couple of tools that many open source guys have written. OData Explorer, Sesame. Sesame is another OData browser. Same. These browsers just allow any OData URL, and then they take any OData URL and they just go and then give you the data. It's universal because they understand OData protocol. Similarly, Tableau Public is a very good kind of mashup. You want to create quickly a chart based on a OData, so which is available somewhere. You can use these guys. They readily go connect, get the data. You can massage it, you can mash it, you can get the charts, anything. RAT controls from Telerik, they're all OData aware. You don't have to write any piece of code on the server side. Client side itself, they can do that. Similarly, all these controls. So we're going to now quickly see some demo on. First, let's see the web clients, meaning, yeah, for all the other guys who are not .NET or even for the .NET guys, this is just a plain .NET web application. But if you see here, I have HTML files. I'm not using any server-side technology. I am just using plain HTML, jQuery. There is a new toolkit or there's a new control called Kendo UI for the web from Telerik, so I'm using that one. So let me quickly run this and I'll show you what I'm doing there. So we now just produced a OData service which was supporting 2 things, categories, products, right? Okay? So this is the file. Let me zoom up and then I'll tell you that there's no .NET in it. Okay? HTML all the way, div, header, and here is what some magic, that is this is jQuery templating. I am doing a template, meaning when I get the data, here is my template, put all the data into that template gets rendered on the UI. Okay? So these are the templates, and I'm using a library known as Data.js, which is from Microsoft. It's an open source JavaScript library for OData. It is as simple as this in JavaScript. All you have to do is OData.read, first parameter is the URL, second parameter is the callback. Okay? If you look at my callback, all I'm doing is jQuery templating. What is it? Hey, I have a category template. That's a template. Take this data, append it to this container. Getting it? So I have a container called category container. Category template is just some template there. And then I'm saying just render it into that particular div or whatever it is. That's all I have. There is no ASP.NET or server-side logic or anything. Now this is what I can do with OData. HTML file, one JavaScript library, 2 JavaScript library, jQuery and Data.js, one jQuery templating feature, and I'm able to expose my data, read it on a HTML. Okay. Not only that, just look at this, what I can do. This is the same products that we just saw. On the web, I have styled it. You know, that's a product name. Second line happens to be quantity per unit in a Northwind database. Third line happens to be unit price. Okay. How did I get it, or how did I do that? What happens is, when I click the button, I'm saying, hey, OData, this library, I'm saying, hey, I want you to read the products. When that is a success, I want you to pick up this product template. So let's see that product template. Here is the product template. What is the first line? I'm just saying, hey, you know what? In your data, you have a property called as product name. Just output that. So this is a template. Where's my timekeeper? Somebody is keeping my time? I have 10 minutes? Okay, thank you. So, quantity per unit, unit price. These were all you see this? See that? Product name, quantity per unit, unit price. It's OData which is being exposed, and I just read it in a JavaScript. Okay? So, let's say this is not something funny, man. I mean, it's just I may be a very bad kind of UI guy. So let's see what this guy does. So Kendo UI. Kendo UI is a new UI control from Telerik. I did the same thing, but look at what I can do with Kendo UI. I took the data, gave it to this Kendo UI guy, I get a beautiful grid. Okay? Not only that, this grid, this Kendo UI control is capable of doing a filtering, sorting on the client side. I can say, hey, contains right? I got the data from OData, applied it into a Kendo UI. This is a control, third-party control like a JGrid or JQGrid or whatever is there. And it's able to render it because it understands JSON, because I brought it as a JSON. Okay? Similarly, products, same thing, different UI, but data reach, right? Okay, now let's quickly see one Windows desktop application. So this was a web client, right? So I'm going to showcase a Windows-based client, meaning those of you in the .NET world, you will understand that this is a WPF UI. It's very similar to Windows Forms, but WPF is the latest 3.0 things. So let it come up. It's the same data, but I'm going to showcase in a different world. It's a Windows Forms. Okay? So it's going now. This is WPF, but it's the same data consuming OData. Okay, same beverage, everything. Now let's bring in product. The same thing. How did I do this? In .NET world, we have what is known as service references. I can go and now when you had web service 2.0 or WCF service, if you want to consume a web service in .NET, all we do is right click, add service reference, give the URL, it creates a proxy for us. OData on the .NET side supports the same thing. Before coming here, all I did was, I said, hey, I want to add I have to bring it down. Add service reference. And this is the OData service that I have. After doing that, look at the code I have. The same thing. It's one line of code. It's link. Yesterday, if somebody attended Venkat Subramanian talk on evolution of C#, he was talking about link, language independent query. Thank you. So all I'm doing is, I have a context. That context has products collection. From that, I want to read all the products. One line of code in .NET, and then I can consume my OData. Okay? So that's what we did now. Now another coolest thing, how many of you have Windows Phone with you? All are Android? Smartphones? Okay, so I'm going to show same data being read on Windows Mobile or Windows Phone 7. It's going to go get the categories. There's only one service, I'm just writing different clients. So it's the same thing, it goes, reads, same stuff. Plus, I want to go read the products too. Okay, same. In .NET world, it's pretty much simple. One line of code, a link query, and then I can go and then just read it. Now, this was some of the consumers. I'm going to show a real world application now. So who all are going open data? Many people, Open Government Data Initiative. Many governments are exposing their data as OData, so that you can go read the data, mash it up, and then do whatever applications that you want. I'm going to show one which I built. UN data. Again, the United Nations, it's making most of its data as open data. You can go and then grab it. Van Guide, it's basically, there's a city called Vancouver in US, somewhere in the US. So that city has made its data completely open. There is something like how many bus stops are there, how many parks are there, how many medical units are there. Everything is available as open data, and people have built mashups on top of it by putting, if you open that application, it shows a big map of Vancouver. You see little dots, which is nothing but here is a bus stop, here is a medical unit, everything. How is it done? Using OData, that particular OData. So Edmonton, Netflix, I'm going to show Netflix now. Telerik TV, eBay is also on open data. Windows Azure Marketplace is where you can go and then actually say, I have a data, I want to kind of monetize it by making it as open data, or you can go and then read some of the free available open data. So let's quickly see. This is something I built, and it's also available on Codeplex. It's known as Netflix Data.js. Technology used is Data.js, JavaScript library, jQuery, and then there is a Netflix catalog. Netflix is like how many of you know 70mm in Bangalore? 70mm is a movie rental business. So they rent you movies to your home. You just have to go put it in your queue. Similarly, Netflix is the biggest catalog that you can get in the US. They mail it to your doorstep. All you have to do is fill up the queue. It comes back to your home. I use their open data and build up this little mashup. What is it doing? They have a collection called as genre. So I'm going and reading everything. So let me show you that. So this is the genre. You see this, it has 20th century period pieces. Same thing. I'm reading that and then showing in a drop down. Similarly, languages, they expose certain languages. I'm going and reading that. And you can actually go and then search it based out of that particular service. It's nothing but I can go and say, hey, give me any movie where name is like some so-and-so. I think my network is very slow here, so it's taking some time. I don't know, it's going to come back. Okay, in the meanwhile, let me show this. So this is, I talked about Vancouver Vancouver guide or whatever, right? So the Vancouver city's data. They exposed it. I consumed it. If you see there, it says data, DOT, GCDS, to whatever. It's council expense data. It's something like BBMP. In the BBMP, whatever expenses happens. Similarly, in the Vancouver city, they have exposed their council expenses data. And I was able to mash up. I'm just using some charting thing. And then if I go and then say, I want to see the aggregates. See that? I'm just using OData, which is exposed by Vanguide. I'm doing nothing else. Okay? So, let's see if Netflix came back. It's still not. Okay, the internet is very bad here, so I may not be able to show it. Let's try. Okay. Oh, yeah, we got it. This is, I just said, hey, there is a language called Hindi. For that Hindi, give me all the titles. Okay? So I can do the same thing in Netflix. I can go and say, hey, there is a languages collection. Within that, there is a language called Hindi. I want all the titles for that. Right? The same thing, I just mashed up like this. I just wrote some CSS, just styled it. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm time out. So this is my last thing. So I just styled it. So this is the power of OData. That's why I said access any data anywhere, mobile, on a tablet, on Android, iOS, whatever it is. Okay. Let me check up my slides. I think this was my last slide. Yeah. I think I've timed out. Maybe by the next speaker comes in, I can take any questions. Actually, somebody was already had asked me something. Yeah, there. Yeah, please go ahead. Can somebody give me a mic, please? I can't hear. I'm sorry. For others, here's the resources, my blog, and then all the other officials. So if you want to take it.
You just showed that the OData service gives you...
Please keep it a little bit closer.
The service gives you both data and as well as the payload, right? So it uses some marshallers, unmarshallers, internally?
No payload. Metadata.
Okay.
No payload. It gives you the data that you want in two formats, either in XML or as a JSON. So you take it whatever you want. It's the client which says, I want this format. In the HTTP accept headers, you can just go and put it as accept application/JSON. The data comes back in JSON. If you don't put it, it comes back as Atom XML.
Okay.
The metadata again is a XML.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there is a latest OData update, which is known as version 3, OData version 3, that supports the DB context, over the DB context, the code first, all those stuff. Yes, you can. It's OData doesn't specify anything other than the protocol of exchange, the data exchange. Anything around it, you have to build it. Like, I want to secure it, put your own authentication mechanism, authorization mechanism. I want to secure it like a SSL, you put your SSL certificate and say, this is behind that SSL. So but the OData protocol just says, hey, this is what you have to do if you want to expose it as a OData. Yeah. If you go on then the Netflix catalog, that has around 50,000 to 60,000 items. In one shot you want to pull it, the whole payload is coming. It's the best practice is for the producers to page it at the server side. There's a pagination available at the server side, meaning as a producer I can say, at any shot I can give you only 25. I think it's GData, the Google data. It's a JSON payload at the end of the day. So it depends on your data, how big your... Yeah, that is because IE has a capability to show the feed as is. In the IE, when it goes, I was not sending any HTTP header as application/JSON. But if I can open a fiddler and then tweak the payload that goes out, HTTP request, and say accept JSON, it comes back as JSON. Because by default, when you take a OData service URL and then put it into the browser address bar, it goes as Atom XML. So it comes back as Atom XML because I didn't pass the header. Yeah, you had a question? Can we use it for updating the data? Yes. 45 minutes is not enough to show everything. So I just did a read, meaning get part of it. But it's a complete CRUD can be done. If you go to my blog, category OData, you will see many of those. You can do it using curl. Curl is a low-level HTTP command line utility. Using that, you can update service which is somewhere in remote. So is there any database constraints or server constraints? It's just, as of now, it's just a hosting. I just have an IAS server. Behind that, I'm just hosting a web application. No. As of now, I mean, that's what I said. It's up to the technology to have that producer library. For example, we have it as WCF data services. So that takes care of everything, understanding the HTTP request, response, everything. On WebSphere, it is already there. I don't know the others. Okay? I think I'm done.
Thank you, Lohith, for that wonderful talk.
Thank you.
And
for Microsoft.